Yo, what's going on, guys? So here we are. We have a Millie Maker event on Saturday. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm just going to be going over some of the fights, I think you should target. If you have multiple entries, I'll point out, which fight I think you can have both people of. Obviously not in that same lineup, but obviously, entries you can have, the other. So I'm just going to go through them one by one, and feel free to comment down below if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. I'll be putting a link to my Twitter down in the description. It's Daily Fantasy Talk Show. So here we go. We're going to get this started. So we're going to start with our top fight here. So we got Amanda Nunez going against Felicia Spencer. I think a lot of people aren't really giving Spencer really a chance here, and for good reason. Amanda Nunez is a hell of a fighter. She has so much power. Last time she was down in this division, she KO'd Chris Cyborg in the first round in the first minute, and we all know how good Chris Cyborg is. So I think Nunez is going to have no problem here. This could definitely be a finish. I really like putting Nunez in the lineup. I know she's very expensive at 9,400, the most expensive on the board, but in terms of who I think you should be getting to in that range, she's definitely one of the top ones. So you could definitely get the Spencer just to be different in case she does somehow pull it off, but not really my favorite person to go to, even if you are trying to be different. She just doesn't really stand much of a chance here against Nunez's power, and I think she's going to do a really good job, Nunez, against Spencer. So in the second fight here, this is an interesting fight. You could definitely fade it if you don't feel confident. I don't like Garbrandt really that much anymore. At first, when I did my initial analysis, I really liked his power. I really liked the way he was on offense. And then I watched a couple more of his fights, and I've kind of turned on that a little bit. His striking defense is very, very poor. And going up against a guy like Rafael Assunção, a veteran, he's been in 34 fights, he's 27-7. Garbrandt's obviously going to have the more power here, but if Assunção can take some of these big punches that Garbrandt's going to give and give some right back, I think Assunção definitely has a better chance of winning this fight. He's not going to have a blowaway win, but if you look here, his salary is only 7,600, so if you want to have Nunez, and we'll get to another guy later who I really want to get to, who's on the expensive side, Assunção can definitely be a good piece. I'm going to put him in this lineup just to show you, an example lineup. But I really like Assunção over Garbrandt, even though Garbrandt is the favorite just by a little bit. I think his striking defense is going to come back and hurt him. This Aljamain Sterling and Sandhagen, this is going to be a heck of a fight to watch, guys. Like, if you watch any fight of the night, should be the one you pay attention to, just in terms of entertainment purposes. I think it's going to come down to a decision. I don't think there are going to be any finishes here, but there are going to be a lot of significant strikes. These guys are pretty similarly priced as well. So this is one, matchup where I could say, if you make multiple lineups, you can definitely get to both of these guys. But for this lineup, I think Sandhagen is going to go in it. Not only is he $200 cheaper, but I do think he is going to win the fight. I think he's just a better fighter overall. He's 12-1. Averages really high fantasy points in those fights that he's been in. I don't hate Sterling at all. I think that, like I said, this can be one of the most competitive fights of the night. But I really do think Sandhagen is the better striker. As long as he can keep the fight on their feet, I think Sandhagen is going to be able to win this fight. Sterling will definitely make it close, but I like Sandhagen here. Neil Magny against Martin here. So, not my favorite fight to get to in fantasy purposes. If I were to get to one of them, it would be Martin for salary relief. Just doesn't really seem like a great fight here. I think it's going to go the distance. I think there's going to be a lot of groundwork here. If Magny can keep it on the feet, I think he has a lot better of a chance. But personally, fantasy-wise, I'm going to stay away from this fight. And if you are making a ton of lineups and you just haven't gotten to either of these guys yet, to pick one, I would say go with Martin over Magny just for salary relief. I would not pay $8,700 for Neil Magny when I'm not even sure he's going to win the fight, or put up any fantasy points even if he wins it. So if it goes to third round, goes to a decision, he doesn't have a lot of takedowns or a lot of significant strikes, this 87 price tag is not going to be covered. Going next, so Sean O'Malley against Eddie Wineland. This is actually going to be a lot more competitive of a fight than I think most people think. But ultimately, I do think O'Malley's going to win this fight, and I'm going to put him in the lineup here. I really like his striking ability. He's one of the best strikers, one of the best young guys I've seen personally. Just looking at his film, he just looks so confident and so powerful. Has those really good kicks. He uses his kicks really well. Just really like O'Malley here. He's a big favorite. His ownership's going to be high, but I do think he's going to be in the winning lineup at the end of the night in the Millie Maker. Going to the next fight, Hooper against Caceres. I can definitely tell you that Chase Hooper will win this fight. Now, the only thing is, will it be in the first round, will it be in the second, or will it come down to a decision? I'm going to say right now it's going to be a first-round submission win for Chase Hooper. And at this 8,500 price tag, that's a really nice price tag for him. So I really like Chase Hooper here. Caceres is not a very good grappler at all, and that's where Chase Hooper, really thrives. So once Chase Hooper gets Caceres on the ground, this match could end really quickly. I could see this match being maybe 3 minutes at most, and Chase Hooper will put him away in a submission. Next fight is Ian Heinisch and Gerald Meerschaert. This is going to be a really good fight. I think these guys are really good, balanced fighters. I think Meerschaert is definitely a guy who, will put a really good fight up against Heinisch. Heinisch really started hot when he came into the UFC or into pro fighting. I think he's actually lost his last 2 fights, if I'm remembering that correctly. But Meerschaert is definitely a guy who has a lot of experience, and it just keeps coming back at you. And Heinisch is definitely a really, really good fighter, good striker, decent wrestler as well. So he can handle Meerschaert, I think. I think he's going to get the win. I think it's going to come down to a decision. And at this 8,400 price tag, I would much rather get to a guy like Chase Hooper than Heinisch. But if you have a lineup, Heinisch would be the choose over Meerschaert, just for the fact that I think Heinisch will win this fight. Not my favorite fight to get to, though. Next, we'll go to Stamann and Kelleher. So now I'm putting Kelleher in this lineup. This is going to be a really good fight. I think if Stamann can get Kelleher on the ground early, control the pace, I think Stamann wins it. But if Kelleher can stay on his feet, he does have pretty good takedown, he does have pretty good takedown defense. I believe it's about 80%. So Kelleher, as long as he can stay on his feet, I think he can win this fight. I think he could even finish Stamann if he ends up staying on his feet for whether it be the first round. I think it would be a second round knockout for Kelleher if he gets a knockout, or even a third rounder. I don't think he's going to be able to finish him in the first round, but I definitely do think it'll be a fight that Kelleher can win, especially with being a big underdog. He's only $7,100. Nice salary relief here. I think this is my favorite underdog on the slate right now. Next, we'll go Bird and Maki Pitolo. I know the lineup's all done over here, but I'll just go over the last couple fights here just to, give you some more insight on the other fights, and then you can make your multiple entry lineups as well. I do like Bird. Bird has a really good chance of ending this fight early. I just don't love his price. 8,800, really high price to pay. I would much rather, like I said, get Chase Hooper, who's $300 cheaper, than go for Bird, because if he doesn't finish it in the first round, even if he finishes it in the second round, I don't know if he's going to be in that number one lineup at price at 8,800. I think Chase Hooper is definitely going to outscore him. So I really don't think Pitolo has much of a chance to upset here. He just hasn't looked good. He's only had 1 fight in this weight class, and he looked really bad in it. Good record overall at 12-5, but just did not look good last time out. And I think Bird's gonna be able to finish him. I just don't think he's gonna be able to finish him until a second or third round. Now this Perez Formiga fight's very interesting. I think Formiga would be the better fantasy guy to go with, because I think he's a little cheaper and he's very good with getting into submissions. Perez is the better striker, which does give you some appeal there. But at 8,300, he's only $200 cheaper than Chase Hooper. I know I'm going back to Hooper here, but I mean this value here is so much better than some of these guys over here. So if Perez doesn't really get, if he can't stay on his feet and Formiga gets him into submission, this is kind of like the Stamen Kelleher deal, except, Perez I don't think has the power that Kelleher has. But if Formiga can get him to the ground and kind of control the match, I think Formiga will win it by decision. If Perez can stay on the feet, Perez could get a knockout, or even just winning by getting more strikes. But I think this is going to be a really good fight, and it's all going to depend. You'll know who's going to win it after the first round. To the second to last fight, we got Alonzo Menafield, Devin Clark. I like Menafield here. I don't love his price. He's another one like Bird that could finish him early, but if he doesn't finish early, he's not going to cover that price. I like Menafield a lot just because he's got so much power. He's finished 8 of his 9 wins so far. So obviously, if he can't finish early, he's not going to cover that price. And Devin Clark, I think, is a really scrappy fighter. I think he's going to hold his own in there. He's got a good chin, so he's going to be able to take those hits. And I think it's at least going to be a third round fight. Even if Menafield does get the knockout, if he gets it in the third round, it's not going to be worth the 9,000 price tag. And to the last fight, well, this would be the first fight of the night. It's going to be Burns against Dunham. Burns should win this fight. I think he's the better wrestler. He's a lot younger, a lot faster. Dunham definitely does have some power, though he's had a 2-year layoff, so that could definitely affect him in the case of ring rust and stuff like that. So I feel like Burns will win this fight. I think it could go all 3 rounds, or Burns will finish him early, one or the other. Burns does only have 1 knockout win, but interestingly enough, it was his last fight. So if Burns can get the knockout, 8,900. I don't love that price again, but if he can get the first round knockout, he would be a good guy to go to. So I say you sprinkle him in if you make multiple lineups, but if you just one lineup, this should be the lineup I think that you should go with as of right now. If anyone does drop out, which I haven't heard anything, if anyone drops out, I'll be sure to provide an update in the comments section. But I think this right now is the best lineup to go with. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about stats or anything like that, feel free to reach out, and I'll put my Twitter link in the description. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your day.